What is a good deal on a new rig? How much should you pay?
And what about that sell price?
If you watched our last video, you know we sold our momentum. Why the hell did we just sell our rig?
I don't know. And the morning after, we were already searching for the next one. The feel of it, the space feels so big.
We've been shopping ever since, and we figured this is a good time to talk to you about negotiate. Don't pay list price.
Don't pay sell price.
We should say that we're speaking about our personal experience and specifically from buying from a dealer. We don't have any experience buying from a private seller, and we have no experience dealing with trades, so we can't speak to those situations.
We wanted to make this video to educate those of you who do not even know that you can negotiate on a rig.
We understand that talking about pricing can stir up controversy. Everybody has different experiences and different opinions when it comes to buying a new RV. It just kind of hurts for us when we see people that are negotiating or not negotiating and totally getting ripped off when buying a new RV.
I've talked to several people on Facebook groups that didn't even know that they could negotiate at all on the price of an RV.
I think that's the biggest problem. Some people don't understand that there is room for negotiation. They're used to buying a house or a car, where maybe a car you can negotiate for like a couple thousand off, and they don't understand that there's that big margin for an RV. We're on our second purchase of a brand new rig, but in the process we have negotiated on over 20 different rigs, and each time have successfully got into our target price range. But you should know that some are just not willing to negotiate. January 2021, RV sales are still going crazy. This brings us to the first thing that we see and hear in the groups all the time in regards to the pandemic.
Due to the pandemic, this is a seller's market and you can't negotiate, or you won't be able to negotiate on a purchase of a new rig.
Sure, the pandemic impacted inventory and it impacted parts getting to those dealerships, but in our experience and our negotiations, we found this just not to be a factor. We were recently at an RV show and we actually heard salesmen saying, these are quotes.
These are the lowest prices we can offer. Prices are even $5,000 higher at our dealership. Someone else said, give me a price I can take to my manager. Probably the best we can do is like 10% off, which is this price right here.
We checked. It wasn't their best price.
Nada. I see many people saying, just have them throw in some free stuff.
Our perspective on this is don't muddy the waters. Just negotiate on the rig itself. If the dealer is throwing things in for free, then you have a lot more room to move on that price. Dealer markups are so expensive. It's better just to go buy those items at Amazon or eTrailer and work with a vendor to have them put on. I mean, if it's a hitch, buy a hitch at eTrailer. Let's talk about the 30% off and how we've had the best success with that. First, let's talk about MSRP. Get a build sheet either from the dealer or even better from the manufacturer, so at that point you can see what the base price of the rig is and all the options that go with it. Now sometimes the manufacturers have that available like on their website. You can go through and build it out and see what that MSRP is, and sometimes you have to actually ask for it. But a little bit of advice, if you get a build sheet from a dealer, double check and get another one from a different dealer, because we have actually had where we had two different build sheets with different price specs. Next, you have to decide if you're looking for current inventory or a custom build. If you're looking for current inventory, great. Hit up your local dealers, go look at RV Trader, find out where that inventory is. If you're gonna do a custom build, now you gotta figure out who sells the model that you're looking for. But this is how we do it. First, we use RV Trader to kind of get an idea of what the range of the unit is. And then we also see who sells that unit, right? Because it's kind of hard to know who's a Grand Design dealer or who's an Alliance dealer as we're out there shopping around. But know that RV Trader is going to give you a big range of prices. Some of those dealers are going to list them, they're going to list MSRP, some of those are going to list a percentage off, but it's also good to see what private sellers are going for if they have similar rig. Here's the best piece of advice I can give you. Start shopping outside of your local or target area. There's a couple good reasons for this. One, it gives you some practice. So say that you know that you want to buy a Grand Design or an Alliance, and you know that Grand Design or Alliance dealer in town is the guy you want to buy from. Well, start looking outside of the area so you know what kind of deals you can make with them. Start that negotiation with them so that you know how much they're willing to move. This does a couple things for you. One, it gives you practice. It lets you understand the discounts are available before you start working with the dealer that you want to buy from. And hey, it's a backup. If for some reason you start working with your local dealer after you've had that practice and the local dealer doesn't give you the deal that you want, buy from that other dealer. We do that with multiple dealerships just so we can kind of understand where the best price sits. prior to start working with our local dealership. And just to give you an example of an experience that we recently had, we started working with a dealership that was just a couple hours outside of our area, and we got down in our target range, and we started working with our local dealer, and the price was $17,000 higher. Don't let your local dealer scare you with service stories. We've been told that, hey, you're going to get the best service still from your local dealer. You have options. You can find an independent RV servicer in your area, or you can find a mobile tech to come service you. Actually, when we're in the RV groups, we find that the long-term people, the long full-timers, the people who've been doing this a long time, don't even go to the dealership because in their experience, their rig is at the dealership too long. They use mobile repair techs. Decide your communication method. I am one of those people, I do not want to deal with a salesman face to face and at a table. That's not the way I work. I buy all my vehicles, all my cars over email. And this does a couple things for you, because now you get to think through what you want to say, you get a response back from them, and you get to think through before you reply back to them. And it also gives you a documentation trail. Typically, when I start working with the dealer, I ask them for their best price. And I do this for a couple reasons. It gives me an idea of what kind of dealership I'm working with. Sometimes a dealership will come back with like $2,000 off of MSRP. But a lot of times you have dealerships that come back that are like 25% right out of the gate on their first quote. Now it comes to the counter offer. And this is going to sound a little crazy, but typically once I get that first price, I counter offer 40% off of the MSRP. I know 40% sounds a little bit extreme, but the goal is to get down in that 30% range. So you could start at 40% and work them down to that 30%. But if you start at 30%, you're probably going to get down in like a 21% range. So the higher, the better. And we have heard stories, and obviously it depends on how long a rig is sitting on a lot, where people have gotten in like 37% off. So start at 40, nothing to lose. There's a couple things you're not going to be able to negotiate on, and that's going to be like freight and documentation fees. But when I ask for a price, I ask for out the door price. I want to see exactly what that price is going to be for me as I get out the door. I have had some dealers have hidden costs where they'll charge me for extra PDIs or even charge me for the batteries that they put in there. Those things should be included, and most dealerships have those in there. You should only see freight charges and those are going to be dependent on how close you are to the factory, and you'll see documentation fees. We filmed this video in February. It's now late June, and even as a couple weeks ago, we've had no issues getting into our target area. We keep hearing into groups and people that we meet that it's just impossible to get a good deal on an RV right now. And sure, if you're trying to negotiate with a private seller who didn't get a good deal on their RV in the first place, or if you're dealing with a dealer that has limited inventory on their lot, that may be difficult, but it's not impossible. But if you're doing a fresh factory order, it's almost easy to get to that 30%. Another method that we didn't talk about in our video was the fact that you could just look at MSRP and tell the dealer that you're not willing to pay any more than 30% off that price. We did run into a sales manager that told us that he is in an agreement with 20 to 30 other dealers in his area not to go below a certain percentage, which to me seems a little bit sketchy and maybe illegal. This isn't a typical video for us, but we felt really passionate about it because we keep seeing people give others advice to wait a couple years until the market has settled down. Don't do that. Go out right now, fight for it, negotiate, get the right price, go make it happen. And right now, I'm gonna go work on a black tank issue.
Negotiating properly on your purchase will actually help you out in the long run, especially if you go to sell it.
And tell us what we've missed. Maybe you have ideas that we're not employing and better ways to negotiate when purchasing a brand new rig. We'll see you next time.
See ya.